Hello, and welcome to the 6th episode of the Kid Broadway podcast, intimate conversations with community and professional actors in Broadway news. And today we are chatting with Natalie Ballenger. Now please, sit back, relax, and enjoy the Kid Broadway podcast. So the first question that I always like to ask my guests is, where are you from?
I am originally from Santa Cruz, California, and right now living in New York City, but kind of bouncing around between the two during this lovely coronavirus time.
And how did you get into the whole theater thing?
My grandmother was an actress, my dad's mom. She did really early Broadway. She was the cover of Stella in Streetcar and then took over the role of Stella. She grew up performing. Her dad was a vaudeville performer, so she grew up performing very early. Grew up with Marlon Brando in Chicago, and then they moved to New York, and she was a performer in New York City for a long time, and then she moved to Chicago to start a family and did early TV and film out there. So she was really instrumental in me and actually my cousin's an actress as well, kind of lovingly nudging us the wonder of performing. So she was really instrumental, kind of jumping off that ledge. And then I guess when I was a little kid, my mom took me to see a show, and I refused to leave until I could stand on the stage. I don't remember this at all, but thankfully there was a really lovely usher at whatever show we were seeing that let me stand on stage for like 2 seconds, and then I was like, okay, we can go now.
Do you have any pre-show rituals?
Water. Drinking so much water. It is so ridiculously important to be hydrated. And then I usually steam just to kind of open up. Sometimes I'll listen to playlists to kind of get me in the mood of the show. And then I always kind of, in my family, we have this weird thing of like squeezing dog noses for good luck. So I don't have a dog now, but we're on tour. But like, I just always would say a little mini prayer to like our dogs that have passed on, being like, I know these words, I know this music. Just make sure it's a good show and we all have fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were traveling the world for 15 months and visiting 23 different countries in the world tour of West Side Story as Maria. How was that experience?
That was amazing. I mean, it is one of my favorite musicals of all time. Yeah. It was my dad's favorite musical growing up, so really, before I could remember, I was watching the Natalie Wood movie version, Natalie Wood, Rita Moreno. So I just fell in love with it instantly as a kid, and then it was just always such a dream show. So to do it was really amazing. And then traveling while I'll do it. Wow, so cool seeing all the different countries. Still so exhausting. Because it was the funny balance of exploring, but then doing an 8-show week. We were at the theater 2 hours before the show started because we had mandatory dance class and group vocal warm-ups, especially for the dancer tracks, because those, I mean, it's very hard. So interesting balance of enjoying the travel aspect, but then figuring out what you could do. For me personally, that was like a lot of day exploring, and then post-show I was just like done talking, go to bed. Especially because it's just like to give the audiences what they deserve for West Side. You go through such a journey of really beautiful singing, but then you're literally screaming over a dead body at the end. So to keep vocally healthy to do while doing all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, but it was, and the cast was so lovely. It was really a tight-knit group for 15 months, which is not always the case, but it was really great.
And you were in the international tour of Beauty and the Beast. How was that experience?
That was that was before West Side, so that was my first foray into traveling. I had never been out of the country at that point. So So it was really exciting because I was just always so busy. I mean, we've always wanted to travel. I've always wanted to travel, but, I started doing professional theater when I was 11, so it was just kind of like finding time to go have fun and travel somewhere. It's just always a strange luxury that we don't always get. So it was really exciting the first place they flew us out to, because we were the replacement cast. So they had already been out for a year, and we were a full replacement cast. I think there was 4 or 5 stayed on from the first. They flew us out to Macau, which is near Hong Kong. So it was just, and that one was basically mostly Asia and the Middle East, which was also really cool because Beirut, we went to Beirut, and it's just like not necessarily one that people put on their, I'm going to go on a fun vacation to the Middle East, but there were so many places there that I loved. We got to go to Egypt, which, was always a bucket place for me, because growing up, I was such a Greek and Egyptian mythology nerd. So seeing the pyramids and doing a lot of the history aspects of it was so cool. Beauty and the Beast, same thing with West Side Story. It's like we do these shows, and we perform them English with subtitles of the local language, and it's just kind of amazing to see kind of how these different musicals, one's very happy, one's very not, but how we get to give a little piece of ourselves to each different city and see kind of what we learn and grow from each different city. Like, I would always try to learn at least enough to talk to my dresser. We'd have local dressers each place, at least on Beauty and the Beast, to on site too, yeah. To at least converse very basic things. Arabic was really hard, but just to kind of, as we're giving them a piece of ourselves, really immerse ourselves in the culture of each place, because we're all so connected in so many ways, that it's just kind of, I don't know, people are cool. Humanity's cool.
Do you have any cool stories from either West Side Story or Beauty and the Beast?
Oh, so many. Some of the exploring aspects, like the pyramids and Beauty and the Beast, and it was cool on West Side and on Beauty and the Beast. We actually met other traveling casts, like on Beauty and the Beast. There was the UK tour of Ghosts that we did this same a couple same stops, so we got to meet them and kind of befriend all those people. And then on West Side, when we were in Shanghai, the UK Asia tour of not the Four Seasons, Jersey Boys, was there, and some of our crew guys were from the UK, so they knew some of their crew guys. So we did like a 2-cast soccer game, which was fun. New Zealand with West Side was just one of the most gorgeous places ever. It's just the outdoor adventure mecca, and we did like a black water rafting and all that fun. And I climbed Mount Fuji when we were in Japan, which was cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, and just meeting. I think the best part was really truly meeting so many people from so many different places. A lot of them are still really good friends, from like Manila, and I don't know, the people aspect of all these tours was just so amazing, because we do theater to connect with people. So that was some of my favorite moments. Yeah,
that's cool. Do you look up to anyone in the theater world?
So many people. It's just, definitely first and foremost was my grandmother, because she taught me so many things about how to be a good performer for colleagues and others. Like, she was the original understudy of Stella, and she got to take over because the woman playing Stella originally, Kim Hunter, knew the producers were going to come and intentionally called out so she could perform for the producers. So that always has shaped how I always do with understudies, always giving them a show as long as I'm allowed to. because understudies put in so much work. And I've been many an understudy and didn't get to go on, and which is fine. But just kind of treating that, and when you're in the lead of a show, she would always tell me that you just get to know everybody, crew, orchestra, front of house. Everybody's so important, that you just kind of, it's one giant big family, especially when we were touring, it was the same people. So definitely, first and foremost, my grandmother, Carmelita Pope. And then, I mean, there's so many people. I mean, Audra McDonald is just like,
Yeah.
how can you go wrong? I mean, she went, yeah, all of the soprano canon, from Barbara Cook to Laura Benanti to Kelly O'Hara to all these things like Lin-Manuel. It's just like the brilliant mind, Stephen Sondheim. It's just really, I look up to everybody, because especially everybody that have come before, because they've paved the road, and to the ones nowadays that are changing the scope of theater. And I don't know. Yeah. It's not specific, but everybody. I look up to everybody. I think everyone's amazing.
How do you usually prepare for a role?
Yeah. So it really depends on the show. Like in Beauty and the Beast, there's only so much you can prepare for, like napkins. You know what I mean? Or like a teapot. But even so, like, the director, because we worked with the original Broadway creative team of that, told us so much more about like the nuances that you wouldn't think. So it's really deep diving into the stuff between the lines. Like in Human Again, Howard Ashman was dying of an illness. I believe it was AIDS. When he was writing it, and it's about, all of the, like, Mrs. Potts, Lumiere, they're all singing about dreaming about becoming human again. And it's once you know that he's dying of AIDS, writing it brings it to such a deeper meaning, because it's just like him wanting to feel that way also. I mean, anybody that has lost a family to cancer, or, now coronavirus can kind of relate, because you're just seeing these people, instead of slowly turning into a teapot, it's just it's kind of a different view on it. So it's finding a deeper, Maria is something else, because you learn, or like an Eliza in My Fair Lady, you kind of have to learn the accent, learn the culture, you know what I mean? Like, just learning all about the person, so you in a second can just turn it on. But being able to, it's being able to dive into the human that you are fully portraying, but then also keeping a little bit of yourself so you can leave it at the end of the show. That was always something. Preparing is knowing how to cool down from the show. I try to prepare that a lot, because like with West Side, it's so depressing. That you have to take yourself out of that. So practicing that in, it's just really, I like to, for rehearsals, be off book as much as possible, so you can really explore, and you're not like, what's my line? So putting in a lot of the work prior to getting to rehearsals, so that you can really just play and explore, because you just end up getting to higher heights if you are already so comfortable with the base material. Make sense?
Yeah. And we're gonna wrap up here in a minute, but what advice would you give to your younger self and younger people listening now?
I think number one is patience, especially now. I have had many years of trying to make myself love this word, patience, because we always want perfection right away. And it's like, I teach voice lessons to people, and I tell this to my students all the time. It's like, we start a new piece and we expect it to be like Tony Award winning ready the first time we sing through it, because we have these grand ideas of what we can do, and we should always have these grand ideas of what we can do. But that patience of knowing, like, okay, it's not going to be a Tony Award-winning performance the first time I practice it, because even Audrey McDonald is not perfect the first time she does anything. She's probably close to perfect, but, we have to work on things too. So it's like, it's the patience of reminding ourselves during the process to just enjoy the process, the patience of keeping yourself focused through the career, because we all want that, like, big role and the 7 Tony Awards that Audrey McDonald has, of course. But, just that patience to know everybody's journey is different, and to not compare our journey to somebody else's. Somebody might be getting a lot of fame quickly, but not to be jealous of that and support them in that, because your time will come. Yeah, I think that's a lot of, and just work really hard. The more you can focus yourself and keep that work, it just will serve you better in life. You'll just be a better professional, because people will be like, oh, they're so on top of their stuff. We, of course, would love to work with them again. But then also enjoying some of the non-actor life. I have so many friends that are not in the theater world, which is so nice, because I could do the smallest thing and they think it's the coolest thing in the world. Like, I took one of my friends backstage to see my friend in Aladdin, and she was just, like, so blown away by every little thing. So it's nice to escape the theater world as well.
Yeah.
We all love it. I don't want to fully ever escape it, but just have those mental checkouts, especially when we're down, and having good friends and family surrounding it. Yeah.
Do you have anything happening right now? Any new projects?
Well, coronavirus has definitely taken down a lot of them.
Yeah.
I was starting a reading of a new musical, and I was going to be part of this new kind of, it's a podcast, but it's kind of like an animated series, but without the animation. Kind of a voiceover gag. It's called The Eighth Flight. I'm hoping both of those projects have said that they plan to continue when we are able. So I'm hoping those come back. But it's just, right now, it's doing a lot of online concert type of things. One coming up for the West End, which is kind of fun. But it's just, figuring out where the theater world's going. But I think it's because everything's shut down, we have such a moment of there are no boundaries, so we get to explore and be whoever we want to be right now. So I think it's kind of cool in terms of breaking boundaries. Like, you want to work on, I don't know, the Fiyero in Wicked. I mean, I'm not going to be cast as that, I think, ever in Wicked, but I could bring something to Dancing Through Life that I could use in my own version, creating these things that we don't think we could be, but using that material and figuring out how we bring it to ourselves. I don't know, just getting to explore things we generally don't get to when we're in our normal little type and box. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can find you on Instagram and on Twitter at Natalie Ballenger. Is there anywhere else we can find you?
Yeah, I have a website, which is www.natalieballenger.com. The through line of the name, it just makes life easy. Yeah. And that has all the information and on, different ways to contact me. Yeah. Sorry, I got a random call come in.
Well, thank you, Natalie, for coming on the podcast.